Yeah, hi. I'm a commenter from Frono's Photo, and I got a message that I need to message you on Telegram that I was shortlisted and I won something. Are you Fro?
Yes, telegram me on WhatsApp and send me $300 and I will send you camera.
What did I win?
You won big camera.
Big camera.
This is
okay,
definitely
good.
jaredpolin.com. See ya.
I should send you money because I have to pay for shipping, right? That makes sense, right?
Yes. Shipping, and while you're at it, just throw an extra couple bucks in there.
Yeah. So for anybody out there who's been seeing those comments on YouTube and messaging me, like I get it. I get that you're trying to bring it to light to me that it happens, and I appreciate that you're reaching out because sometimes we're not aware of certain things.
Yeah.
But we've been well aware of scammers attempting to scam money from people on our channel, as well as hundreds and thousands of other people's YouTube channels.
It's every channel I see it on now. It's getting bad.
And YouTube is trying to fight this. So look, common sense says if you see a comment on a YouTube video that is from someone that says, telegram me at, and then finger emojis, Jared Polin 1312, it's probably not from me. So
especially if they're asking for any type of money.
Well, yeah, if you win something, I'm not asking you for money.
Yes.
I'm going to contact you personally. It's going to come from my email address, which I'm not giving you right now, and then I'll get you on Zoom to talk to you personally so that you know it's me, and then all I do is mail you the stuff. Would never ask you for money.
Back in the day, they would call your grandmother and say, it's your grandson and you're in jail and you need to bail me out, send me money. Now it's, leaving YouTube comments and saying you want a prize, send me money. It's like the new way of getting your parents.
My grandson, Steven, he's in jail. What did he do?
I like to think that, us, we kind of, the millennials kind of know what's going on and they can say, all right, it's clearly a bot or someone trying to scam me. But I could see someone like my parents or the 50 or 60 year olds getting scammed and thinking it's something real.
Look, here's the way that you do it. If you look next to the name or you click on the person's name, they have 0 videos and 0 subscribers. It's clearly not me. They don't have a check mark next to their name. It's clearly not me.
It's like reading a headline, though. They're seeing the avatar and they're seeing Jared Polin, and that's all. They're not going to check it out.
Right, because they're using my logo, which is easy to do. But they're telling you won certain gear that may even not exist and just doesn't make any sense. And 2, they want you to telegram them. I've had people being like, you've been hacked. I had one guy go all the way up the chain to Canon, was contacting Canon corporate, being like, Jared is scamming people. He's asking to do this. It's clearly him. And I just had to finally tell the guy to basically bugger off. I'm like, look, dude, of course you got a notification, because when someone leaves a comment on your comment, YouTube sends you a notification. It's not from me. It's from YouTube. Moral of the story is, do not fall for a scam where someone says telegram me or WhatsApp me, and then it says you need to send them shipping money. It's not me. Okay, how are our ratings this week, Stephen? We asked for ratings because you can do it on Spotify, and you can also do it on Apple Podcasts, where you can actually leave comments.
We got a couple new ratings. I don't think I ever actually finished reading them last week on Apple Podcasts because I got rudely cut off. But there's one bad one, and then there's a couple good ones. So if you want to leave a 5-star, that's fine. But if you want to leave anything less, get out of here.
I mean, if they're good, yeah, sure.
So we have Mr. FTP, top of their game. I am glad that the lads are back and providing excellent content. I wasn't sure on what to expect with format. I have to be honest, though, I do miss the editorial comments of Todd Wolfe. Perhaps he can do a cameo at some point. In closing, the boys are doing a terrific job, and I will continue to support the Frono's Photo brand.
Yay.
And then we have Jeremiah Mulford. Glad that RAWtalk has been revived. I'm so glad that RAWtalk has been revived, minus one person. I wonder who that is. Jared and Steven play well off of each other, and it's great. The 9/11 Apple comment was a little off-putting, but at the same time, it is RAWtalk. Would love to hear from Steven on video editing and how to set up the Sonys to take video as well. Jared, have fun at NASA, and make sure you let us know how it goes.
I had to think about what the 9/11 Apple comment was.
Yep.
You got to go back a couple episodes to listen to that one. I'm not going to. It's funny. I think it's funny. It's true. Do you want to know something? Someone in person said something to me while I was away. I don't remember who did it, but they were like, it was about flying, and they said, "Did you bring an apple?" And I had to think, what did they mean by "did I bring an apple?" And they were like, I was like, "Oh, you listened to the podcast." I'm like, that's funny.
We have robchristiansen.com getting you closer to a 4.99. I love the podcast. It's a great supplement to the video content. I learn a lot from your videos, even when you don't use Canon, and enjoy the behind-the-scenes look at what you do. Keep it up and give Steven a raise. Yes.
Steven wants a raise?
And then we have one of the negative ones from Hi, my name is Angel. Awkward and non-informative. Been a fan of Jared since 2014, but all the negative talk and constant F-bombs for no apparent reason are very off-putting. Very confrontational to a lot of the things he talks about, and the constant conversations about people he seems to have slighted him are repetitive. Sometimes they actually stick on topic, and there is some informative stuff, but all in all, Jared isn't the end-all of what is good photography. We'll still listen, but will definitely not be first choice. Ooh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Hi, my name is Angel.
I don't understand the people who have slighted me part. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, you tend to bring up a lot of the same stories from the past. Maybe that's what he's talking about, but I can't think of a specific moment.
It's because I'm old, I guess. I'm like
we all
dad.
do it. We all do it.
Anyway, so those are the ratings. If you'd like to submit a rating or a comment, you can do that over on iTunes, and then you can do a rating over on Spotify. So we ask you to do that because it helps us grow, and we are continuing to grow RAWtalk in its current form. It's going to stay in its current form. We're not bringing Todd back on, or Dan, who didn't have a microphone, or Joe, who never had a microphone, or Sutter, who sat in the corner looking like a hipster, or Steven, who first joined sitting in a table chair,
that guy.
Or Sam Green, who also was helpful at some point. None of those people are coming back right now. We like this format, back and forth, the two of us talking, and
it's quick and easy.
Yep, and it's growing, which is good. The whole point is add a couple hundred more people each week, and add those hundreds, adds to thousands, and our goal is to do about 10,000 downloads in the first week, and we're on our way. We've passed the 6,000 mark for downloads and listens in the first week. In the first week, which is pretty good, I think.
Yeah, building
it back up. And what I find interesting is the podcasts that I will continually listen to are the ones that are topical, that talk about news and information that's relevant to that week, and you're more interested in listening because you want to hear what they have to say that week. And that's the goal of this podcast, and that's why we're going to talk about the relevant things in this episode, like not getting scammed, me going back to NASA, R6 rumors, something about pickleball, and a news story that was done on me. And of course, we'll talk about the Apple announcement that happened yesterday. Yesterday when we're recording this, and we said on RAWtalk, on Photo News Fix, that we would get into this. But let's start with the back to NASA. I did go back to NASA for the secondary attempt at the launch, and that launch got scrubbed as well. They only got to 8% filled on the hydrogen. I think it's liquid hydrogen, and they blew a gasket, basically. They overpressurized the 8-inch hose. Now, I'm oversimplifying this because this is rocket science, and what I've learned is that liquid hydrogen is one of the hardest substances to work with because it's so small in terms of size and molecules that it likes to find little leaks and holes and can find its way through just about anything.
Wow.
And the fact that it has to be cryogenically cooled, that it's at like negative 400 degrees when they try to pump it through this 8-inch pipe. They only got to 8%. They needed to get it all the way up. I believe they got it up on the first go around, but had a faulty reading of a faulty sensor in engine number 3, which caused that first attempt not to happen. So when they overpressurized the hose for the 8-inch one, it went to 60 pounds per square inch, and the max was 20 pounds per square inch, and so it caused some issue in the soft material, which they now have to go fix out on the pad. And right before we started this, they put a tentative launch date attempt for September 23rd, which would be about 7 a.m., so pre-dawn, which is actually not a terrible time for a launch because I think you'll have some color in the sky. But
just enough light.
But as it goes later, if it's like 8 or 9,
you get hard light.
The light's going to look terrible.
I mean, 6:30, 7 a.m., that would be ideal because it's going to be a decent, nice exposure. You know, you're not getting hard light. The smoke might still be, and flames might be a little blown out, but for the most part, it should be pretty good.
I think it should be. I would
and
hope
especially
that,
being right on the coast.
And the other attempt date would be the 27th of September, which would be in the afternoon or late morning.
The question is, are you completing the mission?
I'm going back. Oh. I'll go back. I just have to. I need to wait for them to say that they passed their cryogenic tests. I'll book flights, I guess, but I don't want to stay 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. I don't want to stay for that amount of time. So what I would end up doing is flying in on the 22nd, and probably flying out the 23rd, because if it's a 6:30, if it's a 7 a.m. thing with a 2-hour window, it's done by 10. I could get the 7 o'clock, 7:30 flight home again.
What day is this?
I don't. It's a good question, Stephen. I didn't look at what day the 23rd was. The 23rd of September is a fucking Thursday. It's a Friday. It's a Friday, which isn't terrible. So I'd fly out on a Thursday after all our work is done, and I don't want to spend the weekend there until the 26th. I wouldn't have anything to do unless the 26th is Rosh Hashanah, unless I went to a family member's house to have Rosh Hashanah dinner on the 26th. But I don't know. And then when's the 27th? I would have to fly back. I guess I'll cross that bridge when it comes, because the 27th would be Tuesday. So I would fly home. Yeah, I could fly home Friday if I wanted. Yeah, I could fly home Friday. And if I need to, I'd fly back out Monday.
Wow.
I mean, I'll just do it. I'm platinum, bitch. I'm platinum on American Airlines, partly because of all these flights.
So what happens if they scrub it again?
Then it just gets pushed to October.
It just keeps getting pushed.
It just keeps getting pushed.
They're not eventually just going to be like, it's not going to happen.
No. So they keep telling stories that the first space shuttle went back to the facility 20 times.
Oh, wow.
Like before they launched it, because they kept having issues. So
rocket science, man.
They'll keep going until it goes.
And I assume
or blows up.
We don't have to recap all the gear you're bringing, but you will be bringing all the same stuff. Nothing new, nothing different.
I want to see if I can get press approval this time to be media, because I want to be where the media is. They have a better angle, and that would give me a better opportunity for the wide angle. I do think that the wide angle is probably the better shot than a super tight shot with the 600 millimeter.
Yeah.
The 800, we'll still try that with the Z9. But I was really like, I guess I technically don't need to be manning the wide angle, because if I lock the focus in on the rocket, and I mean, I really want to get it just as it's exiting the frame, but I'll only be able to shoot 1 frame a second with the intervalometer.
Yeah, I don't think you need to touch it.
Just setting it on wide, and it's going to just take pictures as it's going up.
Yep.
And that's what I want to do, but I want to try and get press approval. Excuse me. I want to try and get press approval because I want to be where the press people are. It's only like a couple football fields to the right, maybe like actually 100 yards to the right, but it's a better sight line. So I will say I am looking forward to when I go back around in Cocoa. There's a place called Pho 95. And Pho 95, I highly recommend you go there, because the pho was really good. Chicken pho, amazing.
You love it.
I do. All right, so moving on. There were rumors, Stephen, about you. They're about
me?
you. Yeah,
Rumor has it?
Rumor has it that the R6 Mark II is in people's hands getting tested, and that it might have a stacked sensor similar to what you would find in the R3. What says you, Stephen?
Well, first of all, it blows my mind that they're coming out with a Mark II so soon. I mean, we're looking at barely 2 years old. I think it was July 2020 when the R6 and the R5 got announced same day. So the question is, is there an R5 Mark II also going to be announced the same day, or are they just only doing the R6? Which, I don't know, to me, it's a little too soon, I think. I think the R6 still holds a ton of weight. It's still future-proof to a certain extent. I mean, it's still top of the line for that price point. I almost think it's too soon. What can they do to really make this camera better at that specific price point?
That's the thing with all of these next version cameras. Nikon has always put out S cameras about 2 years into the cycle.
Yeah.
Canon hasn't really done too many of the S style, which means a revamp. Like the Z6 and Z6 II, they're like the same camera, but they reworked it to have the 2 memory card slots and things like that.
Or Canon has always been, with at least with their DSLR past and that lineup, it's always been 4 to 5 years every time they did a refresh or a Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. They never really did an in-between model. So it was always a different body design, much newer features. It wasn't an incremental update.
But technology continues to evolve and change at a much quicker pace these days. And the way that I look at it is if they don't have to retool the entire line to make some tweaks, then that's good. Like Apple, when they make a new iPhone, like a 13 to a 14 or something, and it's basically the same case, they just rework some of the innards, but they're able to still use most of the line. And so the way I look at it is if they have better technology that they can squeeze into, that they already have, and they can just rework it into the R6, then why not go for it and call it a middle of the road camera? Like, why not? And so that's where I'm at, that if it is... See, the thing that people complain the most about with the R6 was the 20 megapixels. Oh, 20 isn't enough. 20 isn't enough, which it is enough if you need to crop something. Like if you have my whole thing, people have these 150 to 600 millimeter lenses and are like, I still can't get close enough. If you have a 600 millimeter and you can't get close enough, then you just can't get close enough, right?
And I mean, keep in mind too, the 1DX Mark III, that sensor is in the R6. I mean, you're looking at a flagship sensor, so this rumor of it being a stacked sensor in the R6 Mark II kind of makes sense because, I mean, are they now going to give the R3, which in my opinion is the new flagship, the mirrorless flagship, are they going to give that sensor to the R6? But in my opinion, if they do that, they're almost going to cannibalize the R3. I mean, why buy a $6,000 camera when you can buy a $2,500 camera with the same sensor, for the most part, probably close frame rate? I don't know, man. If they were to put the R3 sensor in an R6, the R6 body and
is
give
not
it 30 frames a second.
I don't know. I think they'll do 20 to 30 frames a second because they already do 20.
Even if they do 20, I mean, yeah, but 20 is non-stacked currently, so it's not the best when it comes to rolling shutter. But with a stacked sensor.
Maybe they'd limit it some way, which they haven't been doing. They haven't been limiting their cameras lately, limiting their features. But yeah, a $2,500 camera versus $6,500 camera, giving it very similar features would be pretty crazy. Build quality isn't there. Comparable.
Yeah, I agree. The build quality, the vertical grip, that professional feeling body. I'm sure it's not going to have dual smart controllers, eye control. I'm sure the battery life, it's not going to have that same battery life.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when it would come out, but the rumor seems like it's pretty interesting.
Now, with them giving the R3 that random 195 frames per second mode, I mean, is that almost like a hint that, hey, we're going to give the R6 Mark II that same sensor in 30 frames a second, but now the R3 is going to be differentiated by this 195 frames per second mode? Or I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could think of minus a new sensor would be CF Express slot, maybe that and an SD card to match the R5. Better video options. Maybe it'll have an 8K sensor, so then it can shoot 8K video and not 24 megapixel sensor and only shoot 6K video. Higher electronic shutter rate, is it going to do 30? Who knows? And same with like the higher res viewfinder and touchscreen. That was something the R5 always had, a little bit better touchscreen and EVF, but I mean, it really wasn't that big of a difference in my opinion. And manual video controls. That was always a big thing with the R6 too. It wasn't really that great of a hybrid camera because you either went full manual or full auto when it came to video mode. I don't think there's like a aperture priority mode or like a shutter priority mode. It's like one or the other. So that was always kind of a pain.
It's going to be interesting. What I'll say is if this does exist, Canon is on fire.
I mean, kudos to them because they've never done something like this, putting out a body so soon when it didn't really need an update.
They're just insane. They're going for it. Where it's like, what is Sony doing? What is Sony doing right now?
I'm sure they've got something up their sleeves, man. I'm sure there's something big coming.
I think Sony has had stuff, but again, with the chip shortage and having to make PlayStations, they have been focused there and not so much on the cameras because Canon's been eating their lunch.
Well, and that's the other thing with the supply chain. I mean, there's only so many people that can get an R3 these days, or even some of the R5, R6s. I mean,
R3s are in stock at Allen's, I believe, again.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that not even rumors. I've just heard people say that they're still waiting on a back order of R3s from wherever they purchased it from. And same with every other camera manufacturer. There's still there's a big shortage. So if they do announce the R6 Mark II soon, when will it be available? Next year? And where's the R1? That's the other question.
Yeah, well,
the long rumored R1.
We haven't heard anything about that.
I thought that was going to be coming at the end of this year.
It's almost like Sony Alpha rumors making that one up because it's still not here.
And that damn 35 1.2L lens that's been rumored for like 4 years.
I mean, I'm sure there's a 24, a 35, the 135, maybe a 200 1.8. Could you imagine 135 1.8 and a 200 1.8?
Well, they always had that 200 f2. That was always a big lens that people used. Literally,
they had a 200. They had a 200 1.8. The lead one.
You're going way back.
Yeah, I used it once to shoot hockey. It was a totally different ball game using that lens.
I wonder how that focuses on today's mirrorless cameras.
Well, see, so speaking of lenses focusing on cameras, that brings up this whole thing about the Canon telling people, or telling Viltrox, which I hope I'm even saying it right, to stop selling or manufacturing RF glass. And I've given my thoughts on this where I'm like, well, good for Canon to tell them to stop infringing upon their patents. And I think they're more worried about shitty glass being put on their cameras and that people getting upset about shitty glass and then it affecting their quality of their image.
Sure.
Because, you know, I had someone call me out in the fix and they're like, it just seems like you're deflecting from the big issue here that Canon is being a bully. Well, how are they being a bully when they're defending their copyright and defending their patents that they have? The way that I look at it, and this is just me off to the side as someone who makes YouTube videos and takes pictures on occasion, that it looks like to me that they don't want shitty lenses being made, because I've seen some of the Rokinon autofocus and the Samyang autofocuses and some of these other 85 1.2s that people are buying, and I look at their images and I'm like, the focus missed. I was like, well,
do you see a lot of this
close enough
with your mentorships?
With my critiques and mentorships. Yeah. And I see terrible fringing. I see missed autofocus. I see terrible looking softness, just terrible looking images. And a lot of it is because of the glass. Now, I do think that Canon will give the green light to Tamron and to Sigma because they're more reputable brands. Yeah, why wouldn't they?
Well, why wouldn't they do it with Viltrox and the other one? I know what you're saying,
because they'll probably work a deal out with Sigma and Tamron to be like, look, we understand that you're going to charge a little less than us, which is fine. And the key is, like, they want to, I know Canon makes money there, but they don't want Viltrox and all these other companies even undercutting Tamron and Sigma with other subpar glass. Let me say this. There are so many pieces of EF professional glass that you can buy for inexpensive that you're better off buying that and adapting that than some of these other, I'll call them fourth-party lenses.
My thing is, if they're going to let one or two third-party manufacturers create lenses for the RF mount, it's either one or the other. I think it's going to be all of them can make lenses or none of them can make lenses, because Tamron and Sigma, you know, Sigma just doesn't just put out great art lenses. They also put out some really shitty low-end glass too. So what's the difference between them, someone buying a $200 Sigma and putting on an RF body versus a $200 Viltrox lens that is also just as bad?
I don't know, Steven.
I don't know. I do think Canon is also trying to nip it in the bud right away, versus with the EF mount, they let Tamron and Sigma, they weren't suing people back then or whatever they're doing now.
I don't know what their patents are infringed upon. Like, I don't know patent attorney stuff.
I don't either. So, yeah, I'm clueless with that stuff.
So I don't know. But my take is maybe they just don't want crappy glass being made. And if they don't want any third-party glass being made, then that's their choice.
It is their choice. I do agree on that.
And that should be a decision that you take into consideration, or something you take into consideration when you're buying a brand. If your take is that you like to use third-party glass because it's less expensive, then you're going to look at Sony and you're going to look at, well, not Nikon.
Well, I do think it's going to harm their budget-friendly demographic. You know, the people that are trying to buy, say, an RP and throw a $300 lens on there, or even an EOS R used and throw a $500 lens on there. I mean, you're not even going to look at Canon if you can't buy third-party cheaper lenses. I know what you're saying with the EF glass. You can adapt it and buy that older stuff, or an older Tamron or older Sigma. But I just feel like if you can do that, why not just let Tamron and Sigma make new lenses for the RF mount? I'm sure it's going to be even better.
Yeah, I have no idea. We'll have to see what happens.
And Sony, I see why in the beginning they opened up their mount literally to any third-party manufacturer and told them, hey, here's how it works, make lenses for it, because they had literally no lenses for the system. They had to start making lenses and get people interested in that system But yeah, Canon has such a backlog of EF lenses. Do they really need to do that?
Good points, Steven. I'd like to open it up to everybody else out there. You could text us at 313-71 something 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 something.
How do you forget it every week?
Steven, do I look
You
like
say
I know
it
what
all the time?
Because I have to look at it. It's 313-710-9729. 313-710-9729. The 9 after 9 comes raw, but I realize that when people are texting, they're not able to see that on the number pad. So
it's not like 2005 all over again.
Which I thought it was. And when I came up with that number, they're like, why do you have a Detroit number? I'm like, because it sounded cool to say 313-7, because it had raw in it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. We do know that third-party lenses are coming to Nikon because Tamron officially announced the 70-300Z. 2 weeks ago, it was just a development announcement, and now it's been made official. And I believe it's officially $100 more than the Sony version. So it looks like something's going on there. I don't know if they have to pay like a VIG to Nikon, a toll.
I'm sure
lens.
there's something, some kind of royalty fee or licensing fee. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, if I had to start over from scratch and I wasn't in the Canon ecosystem, I would probably honestly go with a Sony. Like a Sony A7R4 and buy Sigma Art DGDN lenses that are designed specifically for that mount. I mean, you can't go wrong when they're nearly half the price as an actual.
Steven, if you were starting over right now with a new website, what would you do?
Probably build a Squarespace and use the code FronosPhoto for 10% off.
That's right. This is not brought to you by anybody. I was just trying to take a dig at Steven for still not making a website.
Every week.
I mean, what's he needed for? What's he needed for?
I mean, I got my Instagram. It's a great place to showcase photos on there, right?
Yeah, because it gets seen by a lot of people.
Because I post like once a year.
Speaking of Instagram, we've beaten that dead horse quite a bit over the couple of weeks, but yesterday every third post was a recommended post.
Dude, me too.
Every third post. So I didn't realize that 3 dots, I was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. I didn't realize that the snooze for 30 days was actually snooze recommendations for 30 days. And I turned that on. I don't want to see these people.
Yeah. I kept getting
all recommendations,
the same ones over and over. And I'm like, I clicked on it finally like this morning and I'm like, why do I keep seeing this random stuff? First of all, usually it's like half naked women like dancing. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is this coming to me?
Underage.
And so
they are. They're usually underage.
Oh, geez. So I clicked on the actual name and I was going to hit unfollow and it was just a recommended feed. It was a recommended page. And I'm like, why do I want to see this? It's getting bad. Everything is recommended now. Every single thing I see. None of them are people that I follow.
And they're not recommended photos. They're recommended videos.
Video. It's always video.
So they just play. Now, I don't care. Like, Instagram's going to do what they're going to do. There's still the talk of, let's go to Vero. It's a great community. And I'm going to continue to say this, that Vero is not a great community. I honestly don't care about seeing all these people's images. Honestly, on Instagram, what I want to do on Instagram, what I want to see, I want to follow my friends, I want to follow acquaintances, and I want to see photos from them. I want to see their stories about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I want to see some of their videos. That's what I want to see. I don't want to go just to Vero because this is where you go to share photos, because clearly photo communities don't exist and don't last. You've got, Tumblr wasn't a photo community. Flickr was a photo community. Look at it now, right? 500 Pics was a photo community. You don't hear shit about these companies.
Is 500 Pics still around?
Yeah, they got bought by a China company, but I don't know if they're still doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I honestly don't know. But I feel like photo communities just don't survive as photo communities. Clearly,
yeah, I think it needs to be a nice hybrid like Instagram used to be, where it was photo and then you have stories and you could still do video as well. It's a little bit of everything.
But it's really annoying that there was that lull where Masseri was like, we've made a mistake. We've been showing too many recommended posts. And now they took a break. And now here we are. Every third post is recommended.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just over the top and it's terrible. With that being said, I still pay nothing for Instagram. And I can choose to be on it or I can choose not to be on it, like Facebook. I haven't used Facebook personally in a year at least. I don't check a news feed on Facebook ever. I don't give a shit about Facebook. When I post Frono's photo stuff, I just post links out to other places, which is not what you're supposed to do, because occasionally I'll post something and it will get a high engagement. And then other times it just dies. But I don't care. I don't want to play the game. I don't want to chase. I just want to create cool content. And yeah, I want more people to see it. but I'm not going to play the game.
Yeah. The only thing I use Facebook for personally are Facebook groups at this point, maybe even the marketplace if I need to sell or buy something used. I'm part of the R5 user groups. I'm part of a bunch of lawn care community stuff. But besides that, I mean, I really don't check my personal notifications half the time. I don't check messages because half the time they're spam. I don't really check anything but groups.
I'm going to slide into Steven's DMs.
Ooh.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey.
I saw you swimming in that Insta360 X3 video. You look sexy.
Ooh, I got a nice sunburn from that video.
Steven's sunburn's worse than the sun.
I am fried like a friggin' lobster, man. It's bad. The one time I didn't reapply, and I made it through the entire summer. And for those that don't see me very often, since this is an audio-based podcast, I am pale. I am albino almost at this point. I am Casper. Yes.
Where were we?
Sliding into my DMs.
Oh.
I get a lot of someone that keeps saying Jared Polin at Telegram, and they want me to send him money. It's really weird.
Steven,
I said, I don't know why Jared keeps asking me for money. I'm just going to send him some money.
I'm the Telegram guy. Please send me your money. Please send me.
And just real quick back to that, we tried banning the words Telegram, the word WhatsApp, the word message me, all of that, and it still shows up on YouTube. I don't get it.
It still shows
up on YouTube. Those tools don't even work.
Speaking of tools, I was playing pickleball yesterday. And
your segues, man.
This is leading into photography. Trust me. I was playing pickleball against this woman. I don't know. She's a woman.
Can you say that these days?
Well, I was just thinking. I think she identifies as a woman. I thought that she was a man through the app that we use to coordinate it is. What's that stupid app that everybody was? Discord. It's done through Discord. So there was, and she had her first initial and her last name. And for whatever reason, I'm a guy, I think that everybody that I'm talking to is a guy if they're not a girl. I think that's just like a man thing. Like I just remember that as like when I was younger. For whatever reason, I thought everything was male. You know, there's a man, and then you talk to them, you're like, oh shit, it's a woman, which is fine. But anyway, the pickleball, nobody really goes on Wednesday. So there was one person who agreed to show up, and I was like, and I was trying to figure out how to send a message on Discord, and I'm clicking on her name for like
you got to buy an NFT first, and then you can do it.
I had to buy a shebanger first. So I couldn't click on her name. It was weird, but then I figured out a way, and then I could click on her name somewhere else, and I sent her a message. I'm like, hey, are you going to play? Because I'll still show up. So I showed up. It was just her and I playing. We played singles. We played like 5 games. It was great. But this kid, after like the second game, not that you know, and being very literal, was walking by because it's a community center, and he's like, are you have a YouTube, right? I'm like, yep, that's me. He's like, awesome. He's like, I shot Made in America this weekend. I borrowed this camera, and I'm really into this, and it's cool. So I was talking to him for a little bit, and then he started to, like, he had to go. And then I was like, do you like, are you saving up for it? He's like, yeah, I'm saving up for a camera. I'm going to try and get
you don't want my autograph?
He's like, I'm saving up for a camera. He's like, I'm trying to save up for a 1D Mark IV.
Oh,
which is better than the camera that the girl used when she started shooting Trump, which was already out of date. She had a 1D Mark III, remember? Craig's had. Sheila.
She didn't have a 1DX. It was a 1D, right?
Yeah, it was a 1D. Good, because a 1DX, it would have been a 1DX
Oh, yeah,
Mark
the 1DX
III.
didn't exist yet, the Mark III.
The Mark III wasn't out at that time. But anyway, he's talking about that. And so when he was going away, I'm like, hold on. Like, I have a bunch of different cameras. And he asked, like, what do you got? And that was a little weird, but he's like, I'm saving up. I'm trying to get something.
When you say kid, how young are we talking?
He's high school. I would put him at 15.
So really almost no budget, yeah.
Yeah,
everything he has is going towards this camera.
I put him at about 15 years old. And he was telling me that he's saving up, and I told him that I've got a bunch of stuff. He's like, well, how much would it be? And I'm like, no, that's not, I don't do that. I'm like, take my number and give it to your parents. So I wanted to preface, I'm like, here's my number, give it to your parents.
Tell them the WhatsApp me.
Have them send me a telegram and pay me for shipping for a free camera. Good one, Steven. But I was just like, you know, I should have been like, give me your mom's number, your parents' number. But I gave him my number, but prefaced it with, ask your parents to call me or send me a message because I'd like to work this out. And so they doesn't know what I'm going to get, but I think I'm going to go meet with him and his mom today over at the community center. And I already started charging up a 1DX Mark II because we got There's 12 of them downstairs. This will still leave us with 11 of them.
So that's going to be better, obviously, than the 1D Mark IV.
Hold on, Steven. By downstairs, I mean in our shipping department off-site warehouse.
Not attached to the same building
not
at
here.
all. Nope.
It's not here. It's at a secret location
Top
off-site
secret.
somewhere. Top secret. So, I'm going to get him that. But then I had to look up what cards again. It takes compact flash and it takes CFast. We still have my compact flash card
they did do They were trying to go for CFast versus CF Express in the beginning. I forgot.
Do we have extra 64 gig ones of those? We have a bunch of
CFast. We have like. No, we do have a lot of cards because you use them for the EVF recorder.
The Atomos. Yeah, but I got 128. I got them sitting here. I got two 128s. I think this is a 64. We've got a ton of 64
as well. Look at the off-site location where the security center is.
Do you think those Atomos version 1 cards would work? Or
that's a CFast 1.0 card though, not 2.0.
Right, exactly. So I'm gonna see if I have old compact flash cards that are 32 or 64.
Dude, we've got a lot of Lexar ones. We have a lot.
We still have my old wallet over there, the Think Tank wallet, right?
I'm sure we do. I don't know. I haven't looked over there in quite some time.
Because I'd rather give him one of those. You
probably have like 10 CFast 2.0 cards from Lexar.
Maybe, but card readers for those. So I have to see about card readers for that. It's a whole different ball game. So anyway, there's that, and I'm debating what lenses. Probably 70 to 200. I don't know if I'll give him two lenses, a 70 to 200 and a 16 to 35 to give him a good start. But
man, you should have asked him if he wanted to buy a 5D Mark IV. You had the chance.
I'm sorry. Steven is selling a 5D Mark IV. So anyway, that's what happened. I was playing pickleball and the kid said something and I wanted to, this is what I like to do, right? I like when people come up and I can help.
The sad part is, I'm sure to the parents, he goes home and he's like, yeah, this guy wants to give me a free camera. Super sketchy. It sounds just weird, but it's good that you'll at least get to meet up with them in person, explain the situation and say, this is what we do. It's a fun photographer, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's why I said, have your parents text me or have your parents contact me. Here's my number. Have them call me. And there was a witness, the girl in the back, she heard me say it. I don't want people thinking anything wrong, like I'm giving my number to someone. Yeah. So that's why, you want to make sure that you're careful because you have to be careful. Mm-hmm. So that leads us into another Fun to A photographer thing that I did where I got a message from a guy about a school that had their yearbook cameras stolen and there were,
how many cameras did they get stolen?
It was like 3, 4, 5, something along 7. It was a bunch of cameras that got stolen. It didn't seem like a lot of money because there were a couple of older Nikons in there.
Like D3500 we're talking, or even older?
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. Well, maybe even older, like 32, 3300. Mm-hmm. But the reason I bring this up is because there was a news report that ended up being done at the school about them getting all this gear. And Steve, what's it, a minute 50?
Minute 50, something like that, yeah.
So we're going to run
Best
the entire audio.
Ever.
There is video with it, but just imagine high school, imagine kids, imagine
it looking like it's from 1990.
The way the audio was recorded is pretty interesting. And this takes place in Oklahoma. But Stephen, go ahead and roll that right now.
Yearbooks are a huge part of capturing the memories of the school year. Sadly, for the students at Moore High School, they returned from summer break to a horrible surprise.
How would we take pictures with not a lot of cameras?
Returning from summer break, Crystal Bond saw the damage.
I noticed my storage room was a little disheveled. It wasn't how we had organized it and left it when we left at the end of the school year, and my iPads were gone.
She quickly discovered it wasn't just iPads.
And that's when I just started. It was just one thing after another. Noticed more and more things were gone.
Estimated cost of the missing items, around $3,700.
Why would you come in and steal from a high school yearbook class, right?
Equally as painful, the thief took the class snacks.
Oh my God, the snacks! Out of everything, why the snacks? Like, we love our snacks.
Miss Bonds mentioned the theft to photographer and former yearbook student Greg Conder.
As soon as I heard the next morning, I sent the email to Jared just to say, let him know what happened and to see if he could help any at all.
Jared Polin is a social media photographer in Philadelphia with a give back program called Fund a Photographer.
I sent that to him, and his only response was, what's your address?
After all they had been through, expectations were pretty low.
Well, maybe we'll get a camera to replace what we lost. I never, ever imagined it would be what we got.
Items valued well over the cost of what was stolen.
I haven't even been able to put into words how much it means.
Now, the students are extremely excited about the equipment, and of course, they have reached out to say thank you. Making sure kids have the tools they need to be successful. That is something good. I'm Mike Glover for Oklahoma's Own.
Stephen, what's your favorite part of that entire thing right there?
Oh my God, the snacks.
Not the snacks. My couple of takeaways was it's kind of funny. We're not making fun of it, but it is kind of it seemed pretty satirical.
It's the cheesy, newscaster, way over the top voice. That's what gets me.
I am standing here today at the high school where the kids had all of their cameras stolen, including some non-camera issues like their snacks. More on that later at 6 p.m. Hey, we're back here at the school talking to a girl who had her snacks taken. I can't believe they took our snacks. Why did they take all the Cheetos and Cheez-Its? I'm so upset.
Local Philadelphia photographer Jared Polin helped out with his Fund a Photographer campaign. It's like just way over the top like that.
Could you please look my name up next time?
Yeah.
Could you please
Do
look
some
it
research.
up? Jared Polin.
It's not like we have over 2,000 videos of you introducing yourself with Jared Polin.
Yep, 3,000. Get it right, 3,500.
Excuse me, 3,000.
But it is awesome that was done. I didn't expect anything from it. This was part of Fund a Photographer. The guy reached out to me and said that, he used to go to the school and all their stuff was stolen. What can you do? And I asked him for his address. I literally said, what's your address?
That's what I love in the actual newscast, how the guy's like, he just simply responded with, what's the address? No questions asked.
I think I may have asked questions,
but I
because
bet
I
your
need to
first
verify.
line was probably, what's the address?
Well, I need to verify.
Sure,
I still need to verify. Like, I looked the guy up to make sure he is a real photographer. I looked up certain things just so that I could have the information of what was happening. And then I was like, what's your address? And so, that's the stuff that I get to do. And I'm thankful I get to do it because we have all of this gear so we can help out these kids get their snacks back. Now we need to start a GoFundMe for their snacks.
And the fact that you sent them more than what they actually lost too. And you sent them professional grade lenses and cameras. I mean, they were dealing with, again, D3300, low rank Canon Rebels. Now they're dealing with, I don't know, what'd you send them? 1DX?
I don't know. I think I sent,
or?
I didn't send a 1D. I think I sent like an 80D, a 70D.
There was
maybe
definitely
a 6D.
L glass. I noticed.
Well, the funny thing is those 70 to 300s are L glass. I sent a 100 to 400, a 70 to 300, maybe a 16 to 35. I sent a good cross section of everything, including the SanDisk memory cards for the SDs that they sent us.
I can't wait for the next round of Fund a Photographer, if that ever happens, and Canon sends us, used Rs, EOS Rs, RPs, and
I know, could you
R6s,
imagine that?
R5s.
And they're like 24 to 105,
Yep.
F4, RF,
85
51
1.2L.
I know. 70 to 200 2.8s. 2,500 of them.
Just going to swap out my 5D4 for this R5.
Stephen, I will not accept that for Fund a Photographer. It has too much sweat on it.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's a little waterlogged.
All right, let's move on. That was awesome for the news report, and really cool that it got recognized.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about iPhone 14 Pro, which has an all-new sensor. So, Stephen, I was sitting here for an hour and a half in my chair with my feet up watching the announcement. I fell asleep in my chair and missed the whole thing about the 65% larger sensor and woke up to that guy talking, and I fell asleep. I was like, oh, my God.
You had called me after, and you're like, well, nothing's changed. I'm like, what do you mean? You didn't see the 48 megapixel sensor and 65% larger sensor? And you're like, what? No. Oh, I fell asleep. And I'm like, you missed all the new stuff.
I did. I fell asleep. I was just like, I was out, bro.
Yeah.
It now has a new 48 megapixel sensor in the main camera of the Pro and the Pro Max.
The most powerful Pro camera system ever made.
And their marketing is all around, now you can crop even more.
Your favorite. This camera was made for Jared Polin.
Polin. And it comes with snacks. Let me preface all this with the whole cropping thing, as 99.999999999% of the people buying iPhones are just taking pictures and they don't give a shit about anything, which is what the iPhone is for.
Do you think the ones buying the Pro camera, though, are doing that?
they just think that it's better for making their TikTok videos.
Because now they have the option to buy just the 14 Plus or just the 14 regular, whatever.
Steven, I think most people buying these things, they get sold into the better camera because there's 3 cameras and now has a 2x zoom, and they think better quality or better cameras or upgraded phone is going to equal a better TikTok experience or whatnot. So yeah, but I don't care about the cropping. Like, it's a cell phone, so I don't care. I say it for myself. Like, I don't want to crop with 48 megapixels. That's not what I'm looking to do. But the majority of the people out there don't care. They're going to crop, they're going to zoom, they're going to pan, they're going to tilt, they're going to do whatever they want to get the shot that they want, because the quality doesn't matter.
The one thing I do like talking about cropping is you can now use it as a 2x crop, a 2x zoom for the most part. So you're getting 4 lenses instead of the traditional 3 optical lenses digitally. And you're still getting a 1-to-1 readout with the pixels because you're using the middle portion of that 48 megapixel sensor. So that's kind of nice that you're at least getting a benefit out of it without technically cropping in post.
Yeah. I mean, it's not super major update, but a larger sensor does always equal better quality. More light, better pixels, Papa John's.
Now you're getting 48 megapixels or 12 megapixel JPEGs that were oversampled from, say, a 48 megapixel sensor. And it's nice that if you are shooting Pro RAW, you're still getting that full 48 megapixels, which is very rare, at least in the iPhone era. They've had that 12 megapixel sensor for the longest time.
They did. So we have an update. We'll hope to get our hands on one and do whatever it is that we end up doing.
What do you think, real quick, about, not photography-wise, but the notch, how it's been reinvented, calling it the dynamic island?
Well, they call everything something. And
of course.
It's kind of,
marketing-wise,
they always have to name it, and it's like,
the Lonely Island.
Yeah, Lonely Island. Future Islands.
Yeah, yep.
It's called the Future Island.
I kind of like that they're going to, display album art, display someone calling, display map directions, and it's not really taking up the entire portion of the top of the screen because typically you're in another app. I mean, yeah, it's very incremental updates. It's nothing big, nothing major, but I do think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's subtle. You'll still get all those Android people being like, I could do all this for years.
Sure.
And it's like, Apple doesn't care. Apple doesn't care that you could do that on the Android years ago. They'll just take certain things, tweak it to their taste, and then finally put it in when it's ready to be put in. Because again, the majority of people buying these things, like photography, they don't care about the Android ecosystem. They're going to just buy this because they're locked into the ecosystem, and they just like that it works.
Yeah, I mean, to get someone like my mom using an iPhone is crazy because she barely knows how to even use a computer. So it just works. It's simple. It's laid out perfectly. And yeah. Well, they also have the Pro Retina XDR display now. That's 2000 nits of brightness on the new iPhone Pro 14. It's the most advanced display ever. No, actually, let me read it in that guy's most advanced display ever in a smartphone.
Wait, is it the best yet?
The best yet.
It's gotten a lot, and it's gotten even better. It's our
clearly,
best lineup yet.
You're going from a 13 to a 14. I would hope it's better than the 13.
No, because for the 15, they're going to be like, this year, it's not as good. We're going to take a step back this year and regroup.
I'm still iffy on the...
it's never iffy if it's Griffey.
The always-on display, just because, for me, I just lift up my phone and it shows the time and my notifications. Like, it's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Well, no, because I have to tap it to wake it up.
Not me. I just raise my phone. You can have that setting enabled.
Well, I keep it on battery save mode.
Well, I don't think... No, I have mine on battery save right now, and it still shows me time. And
the one thing I'll say is that I'm a year into the phone, and I'm starting to notice that the battery life... I don't know if they started to tamper it down just around the time of a new...
Yep.
Just around the time of a new announcement, but the battery life was like, I'd get through the day, I'd be at like 50-60%. Now I'm starting to get into the 20% range again.
Well, I also think the constant software updates are eventually gearing toward this new phone that's coming out. So they're slowly taking away and not caring about your iPhone 13 and catering more towards the 14 user experience. So my 11, for example, my 11 Pro, I mean, it dies after, 7-8 hours. It barely goes half a day.
You gotta get you a new phone, Steven.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where it's they always say like, oh, it lasts a full day or two and it's the best battery life ever. And like you said, after a year of using it or even 6 months, it's right back to where you're used to using an iPhone. A couple hours, and it's done.
So how about the video features, Steven?
Well, see, with it being a 48 megapixel sensor, I really thought they were going to start moving the iPhone experience towards 8K video, high-end resolution video. And they're still doing just regular 4K video. I mean, they've got the H.265 codec in the phones already. Why not just do 8K? It could be high resolution, but super small file size. Now, I don't think that's a huge selling point, but well, I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe 8K is all the rage these days, like HDR used to be. And
HDR still hasn't taken off, and no one cares
but it was
about
always
it
used
shooting
as a
8K.
selling point,
I guess.
HDR video and.
No, did you? So when they were talking about the photos, they're like unique perspectives because they're talking about the wide angle.
Oh,
unique perspectives. Get out of here with your extended long leg things.
Flip the phone upside down and get really weird wide angle leg pictures.
Yeah, this is so unique and amazing. But again, I don't care what people do with their cell phones. If that's what they want to do and that's how they're going to take it, I don't care. Like that doesn't affect me at all. And I don't begrudge anybody for using a cell phone because they're literally cameras. That's what they are. They're phones. They're devices that take pictures, basically. Because everything, the crazy thing is that just about everything in the phone's ecosystem and apps, everything is driven by photography these days.
Yeah.
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube is photo and is video. So it's all centered around photography, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I do love taking photos on my phone. I probably take way more photos on my phone than an actual camera, I'll tell you that. Whether it's a real photo or just a utility photo where I'm taking a picture of Canada Dry can because I need to pick some more up to remind me to pick some more at the supermarket,
What about yoga pants at La Colombe?
I mean, maybe sneak some of them every once in a while, but...
That's what I do sometimes.
Well, Jared, you got a 2x and 3x zoom now in this iPhone Pro 14, so go to town.
Well,
you creep.
This guy the other day had a great ass in yoga pants, and I'm like, my ass is better. So I was like, I got to save that to see what it looks like.
But yeah, hopefully I will be upgrading to the iPhone 14 Pro because it's been a minute since I've done the upgrade.
Do you want the big-in?
I want the big boy, yeah.
So hopefully we're still in the good graces of Apple to get loaner units to test out. And if we can, I would love to get the smaller phone this year because I've been banging out the Pro 13 Pro Max, and it's just, to me, it's too big. When I'm trying to use one hand and I'm Insta-storying, my palm always hits the flip the camera around the other way, and it starts flipping the camera around the other way. You think it's funny?
It is kind of funny now because you do it so often by accident.
I don't like it, Steven.
Now, do they still do two separate Pro models where I know it's one big, one smaller, but are they actually different internals minus like battery life?
I think it's just battery life because they're the same cameras.
Like the Pro Max, like the bigger one, would get like an extra lens or an extra camera feature. Now I think it's all the same for everything, right?
Well, not you got the 14, and then you got the 14 Pros.
I mean the Pro models, yes. Because
I think they're exactly the same.
Of the Pro, right?
I think they're exactly the same except for battery life because they have the same cameras.
That's what. Okay, yeah.
I just want to get the deep purple because I love purple.
I'm getting black all day, dude.
Yeah,
that, like space gray or whatever they call it now, charcoal. I don't know.
Guess what, Steven? You're getting whatever the hell they give you.
Damn it!
Unless you end up having to buy one.
Got to put a case on it because I still have this freaking purple one with a black case on it.
I don't use a case, as you know.
I will say I use a screen protector and a case because I drop my phone way too often. No, and the one time I did not have a screen protector on, dropped it, and my whole entire screen shattered.
What was that, the iPhone 4?
It was like the 7 or 6S, whatever I had at the time.
Well, if you end up having to go trade your phone in, take our 7 Max or 7 Pro or whatever that one is that I bought years and years ago. It may still be worth $500 or $600 in trade-in. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Until like they were giving so much money back. My brother traded in a 7 to get a 12. Or 13 to get a what are we up to? 14.
And he didn't owe anything? He had to owe something?
No, they're like $700, like $800, and it was a $150 difference. I'm like, what? Why does this doesn't make any sense?
Wow.
But it may be a reverse form of subsidizing phones like they used to do back in the day. Like we want people to upgrade to the newest phone because we have a quota to meet, and so let's do this trade-in program.
Huh.
So yeah, I'm hoping to get the regular Pro 14, not the big one, and we'll test out the cameras. We'll do what we normally do. I'll go around taking videos in Philly and see how it all turns out.
Yeah, be a tourist for the day.
All right, Steven, I think we've come to the end of this episode. I think we slammed a ton of stuff in here this time.
Yeah.
Remember, new episodes come out every Friday wherever you listen to podcasts. You could text us at the 313-710-9729. That's the number to give us text. Leave comments over on the iTunes and ratings, and also ratings on Spotify to go ahead and do that. If you do want to buy Steven's camera, don't do it. Don't do it. It's outdated. It's a 5D Mark IV. No one cares about DSLRs anymore.
It's a little sweaty, but it works.
Yeah, he probably has like 12 actuations on it.
I don't know how many I have. I bought an app a while ago.
You don't have to do that.
I was going to sell it to Jeff's daughter, remember?
Yeah, Jeff's daughter.
And that just fell through. I never got an email back because I responded with the actual actuations. And I want to say it was like 100,000 or
no way,
75?
Steven. No way you have that many pictures. You didn't even shoot that camera.
Oh, no, I did. I used it for a good 2 years for sure. Concert-wise?
I don't think I've ever taken a camera over 25,000 shutter actuations.
Because I bought that. Well, you would upgrade almost every year or two, right?
The newer ones. My old one, maybe. My
I upgraded
D2H.
every 4 or 5 years. So I had the Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV. And then the Mark IV I used all the way up until the R5 came out. So what was that, 2016 to 2020?
You have access to all the gear here now, so you just take it off the shelf.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Or the floor, wherever I have it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to wrap up with, Steven, today?
That is it. Like Jared said, leave us some nice positive comments if you feel obligated to. And besides that, you can chat with me at @S_Eckert over on the IG or Facebook. Slide into my DMs, and I'll probably never check it or respond, but I'll see it a year from now.
And don't worry, don't send me DMs because I won't see them either.
You definitely won't.
So, all right, guys, thank you very much. This is episode number 15 on our way to more. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. We're having fun doing them, so we will continue to roll on with RAWtalk every Fridays so that you can take a listen. Thank you very much for listening. Jared Polin, Frono's Photo. Sorry, Jared Polin, don't eat all my snacks.com. See ya.
Bye.
Oh my god, the snacks!